There she is. There she is. Put your microphone on. I can't hear you. Oh, no, I've got you.
How do I do record? Oh, it says recording.
It's recording. It should say it's recording, so it's recording.
Oh, this is my first. Wow, you look great.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
So do you?
Hang on, let me. I'm gonna also record this audio because
yes.
I'm afraid. Well, whatever, it'll work. You're my first ever video podcast, Rob.
Well, that's a thrill to me, because where would we be without these Zooms and podcasts to stay in touch as we're getting through the back end of this drama that we've all been dealing with over the last year or so. God, it's been nuts, you know. So I'm just so happy to see your face again, and can't wait to see you in person when we kick off the Priest touring in September with Sabaton.
I would love to go to that one concert. I think it's in Sweden where you have a gazillion. Wow.
Yeah. It's what keeps us motivated to know that we've got all these exciting things to get back into again. You know, it's been such a challenge for all of us.
Yeah. I was wondering, what have you been doing through this whole, I mean, apart from podcasts, because I heard you've done a lot of podcasts, but what have you been working out? Because you look like your face looks so skinny.
Thank you. It's Hollywood lighting. That's what I call it. It's the Hollywood lighting. But I've been keeping
Hollywood lighting.
Yeah.
Some of that Hollywood lighting.
I've been doing what I needed to do, like all of us, to get through this business, and staying in shape. You know, for singers especially, our work involves all the physical parts of projecting your voice. So you've got to keep the lungs, your heavy metal leather lungs, have got to be kept in shape. So practically every night, including the current 120 Fahrenheit heat in Phoenix, we go out every night and we do like an hour's walk in the hills, and then I do my swim for 20 minutes. You've got to, for us in the music business especially, well, for everybody really, having the smallest amount of exercise is just so therapeutic, physically and mentally. So yeah, I've been doing my walks, and then coming home and having a big slice of cake and some chocolate.
Wait a second.
That's my balance. Everything's balanced, you know. Nothing. The only extreme thing I've got in my life is metal, and it always will be.
Swimming is the best exercise ever because it tones up everything at the same time, and it's good for your respiratory. So that's why you look so, I mean, I'm not like you weren't unfit before, but most people during the pandemic spread out a bit, and you've shrunk. How much does the leather jacket weigh that you wear on stage?
Oh Lord! Oh, I just did a project, which I can't really talk that much about, but I just did a little project recently for Netflix, and I wore that big spiky jacket that Ray Brown made for me a few years ago, and I hadn't worn that jacket for the longest time. And when I put that on my back, I thought, my God, I must have been crazy walking around the stage in this thing, because it weighs about 50 pounds, you know. It's a work of art. Ray Brown is a genius, and he's been making Priest's clothes and many other artists' clothes for decades. But when I initially went to him with this idea, he goes, "I know what we'll do. We'll do like a heavy metal version of Tina Turner's Acid Queen, Tommy Opera, where she wears this long red leather coat." So I can see it in my mind. Okay, Ray, just go off and do it, you know. But I tell you, my new clothes for the 50th anniversary tour are a little less, how can I say, intrusive on my back. Because if I didn't have my dot-to-dot massages a couple of times a week when I'm on the road, I wouldn't get through it, you know. It's tough. Yeah, big time.
Yeah, I miss getting your calls saying, "Hey, I need a dot bot, I need a massage," you know, and that's so flattering that we can help you get out there and tour, because I miss the live shows. I miss seeing your concerts, you know.
Yeah, and we miss seeing you guys as well. I couldn't do my
How
tours
come you
without
get
Dr.
massages in
Dotsbots.
Arizona? I got dot bots in Arizona.
Well, yeah, and I know it's been incredibly difficult for your business.
Yeah,
Oh my Lord, you know, I mean,
you
what you
killed
do
it.
is, yeah, what you do is such a beautiful thing, but it maintains obviously touching and healing the body. And I said to Thomas when this thing kicked up, I said, God, I wonder how Dr. Dot's going to do, because he's just going to crush all the hard work that she put into building this business. But I'm so happy for you that at least now you can get reestablished and back on your feet again.
Yeah, slowly but surely, you know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of restrictions. The dot bots are getting vaccinated and they're wearing masks and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
a lot of in LA, tons of bookings. Bruno Mars and lots of other artists are calling us for video shoots. And what was that? Not Machine Head. It was Anthrax. Anthrax
Okay.
called us, like every day in a row, they were recording something. So if you need a therapist in Arizona, of course we deliver like dominoes, you know.
Sure.
But
Yeah, absolutely. I got your number. I've got it in my phone always.
you're so
Yeah.
cute. I remember we met. I don't know if you remember. I remember the first time I met you was backstage at Live Aid in '85. And you were the
Wow.
nicest one. You were the nicest one. I was there as a guest of Mick Jagger and his entourage there, his manager. Everyone was in a hurry and upset and kind of snobby. You were the nicest ones. You took the time to talk to me and pose with me. And you look so cute in the picture. You're smiling. And how long we've known each other. I mean, like that little bit of karma. You were so nice to me. And look, you know, like I'm still loyal to you anytime you need help. But
Well, you know, I know exactly what you're saying. That was an incredible day, wasn't it?
it was so
Um, it was just unbelievable, unbelievable in many ways. In many ways, um, there's an episode in my book Confess that began right after Live Aid when I went back to the Four Seasons, and I met someone which we talk about in Confess. But I know what you're saying. The thing about shows is it's such a privilege and it's such a great opportunity to get out on stage anywhere in the world. And I've always felt that that's a grateful place to be in, you know.
yeah.
And I know it's hectic. I know we've got a job to do. And I know we're all kind of jumping from one pedestal to another. But it doesn't take anything to just try and stay balanced and calm
Get your
and
feet on
just
the ground.
enjoy it, you know, have a good time. And most of us were only on stage for like 10, 15 minutes. So it was really, there wasn't a lot of pressure. It was a
Yeah.
big party. I loved it. It was a great thing to recall. Yeah.
You were giving an interview to someone else on a little micro cassette recorder, and I was patiently waiting to talk to you. And you were so kind and polite. And I hope your fans understand that, you know, you're not just the metal god. You're also a really kind person, and I love that about you. I mean, I'm sure everyone knows by now on Instagram with all your cat pictures how much of a soft. Do you have a lot of cats?
I don't know. I tell the story. I got Mr. Smokey up behind me. Mr. Smokey passed some time ago. And, you know, because Thomas and I are so busy on the road, actually, I guess I'm making excuses because we could have taken in some foster kitties, you know, but I think we'd get so attached, we wouldn't want to give them back, you know,
Yeah.
then we'd have a house full of cats. But we do support the great work that cat shelters and animal shelters do. And we have some connections with a couple of places in California and up on the upper East Coast around Seattle. So we do what we can do. You know, animals are people too.
I know. I have a
And
little cat. I love her. That's my fur baby. Like we have a rhythm. She gets me, I get her. I don't even,
yeah,
she's big too. I don't even want to think about what's going to happen when she's gone. I will be crushed. So,
well, it's unconditional love with animals, you know.
well, cats are not so unconditional. They're nice
Well,
after they get their food.
dogs probably. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah. cat's going to go, what's this expensive vase over here? I'll just push it off this ledge, you know. That they have that tendency to be so I'm in control. You know, it's a privilege to have me in your life, that kind of a deal.
They are. They crack me up. So I have some questions. Oh,
sure.
So you're an official Kentucky colonel?
Colonel. Yeah. Kentucky Colonel. Yeah.
Okay. So
that just came out of the blue. Yeah. Well, it's a great organization in Kentucky. I've only just recently found out about it, but they like to make these wonderful gestures to people that have had involvement in the state of Kentucky. And Priest has played in Kentucky a bunch of times. We've got a massive show coming up with our good friends Metallica, which is going to be off the hook. If you can try and get to that show, please do, because Metallica and Priest in one show, it's just insane.
Who's opening?
I got to check the list. It's a great festival. But as soon as it was confirmed, Lars was texting me going, "Oh my God, I just found out that we're going to be on the same stage together," because you know he's like the biggest heavy metal maniac in the world. And so I think as a result of all of this, they send out these little recognitions, and it's a little bit like the Shriners as well. They do tremendous work for all varieties of charities and organizations. So it was a blast. They sent me this thing in the mail. They sent one to Thomas as well, because he's a highly decorated veteran. And so we both have our framed, we're both Kentucky colonels, you know, and that's really sweet.
So I'm kind of or something that says Kentucky Colonel.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff they're going to send me in the mail, so I'll be posing. I'll be striking a pose with that stuff at some point on my Instagram and Facebook. Yeah,
that's funny. Okay, I have a personal question. I know it's probably stupid, and the fans are going to say she's so stupid, but I saw that film Rockstar a long time ago, which I think is the best rock documentary. I mean, I didn't think that this nailed it. I thought Almost Famous was cute, but Rockstar really nailed it about what it's like on the road and what happens when you're famous and there's drugs and alcohol around, and how you get in this bubble and someone has to wake you up. Was that based on you at all? Because some people say it was and some people say it wasn't.
I think the issue of the gay guy in the band was a close reference. But it's a shame, really, because, you know, if you take away all the critique, if you just watch the film, firstly, Mark Wahlberg is great. He's a tremendous actor.
Yeah.
And everybody did a wonderful job. But for some unknown reason, it just got attacked by the music industry, which I thought was really unnecessary. And but the core of the story, that's what it is. There are so many elements where, as a musician watching this movie, I'm like, yeah, that's me. Yeah, been there. Yeah, had that experience. So it was quite almost like a real life documentary to a certain extent. Yeah.
Well, I mean, because then they took somebody from the audience and he became the singer. Was that realistic? I don't even know.
Well, I think there were some references there that you could kind of put on a parallel with Priest, not entirely true life, but as we know, you get these instances where, you know, like Dave Grohl will pull somebody out of the crowd and the guy or the girl will come on stage, or Billy from Green Day will, and pull somebody out on the stage, and your mind is blown by these incredibly talented fans.
Yeah.
So I can understand. I can understand the possibility of that.
But that never happened in your band, because some people are like, "Oh, that's totally based on Judas Priest," and I'm like, I don't recall Rob Halford being plucked out of the audience and becoming the singer or whatever. I mean,
it's just the way things kind of get urban myths. It's urban. Rock and roll is full of urban myths. That's the way it is.
But that movie is so realistic as far as what happens backstage.
It is.
So, oh yeah, and you were sober when I met you at Live Aid, or you've been sober for so many years, right?
Oh, it was just before. You saw me at probably just after that. I began the downward spiral. I mean, this is the great, it's not great, but this is the way that addiction can play a kind of a a fake card. What I mean by that is when you see a person and you interact with the person as you and I were interacted, you give the impression that everything is under control, and it's not. You know, I'm sure you and I had a great conversation, because even though I was probably blitzed at the time because it was an early show, I was about to take the big deep dive down, and so I look back at that and I use that as a reference that.
You have a great smile on your face in our pictures. You're like, hey.
Yeah, it was a great day. It was a great day, and I loved my booze and drugs. I loved them. It made me feel great, but it took control over my life. It took control over my decisions. It took control over my ability as a musician. It was stunting part of my creativity, and I didn't realize that, Dot, until I began my sober journey, because suddenly I had this great clarity. I had this great clarity as a musician. My lyrics, I feel, got better. My singing got better. Just everything about me as a person with a job to do in Priest improved, and that was just making that life-changing decision. You know, my friend Gary Holt from Slayer Exodus has just announced the same journey. He's realized, you know, that it creeps up on you. It's very insidious, if that's the right word in the context. The way that booze and drugs or any addiction creeps up into your life. You know, suddenly you find you're a hoarder. You have no intention, but these things happen.
Yeah.
And this is a great. I could talk for hours about our mental health, our mental well-being.
Yeah.
That's so important in our lives. You've constantly got to take almost a daily check, a daily mental thermometer check about how you feel. You know, don't suppress anything. Tour. Yeah. Oh, particularly. You just got to be.
Right. You're isolated, and everyone's offering you drinks, especially when you're young. Hey, they want to be. They want to be indisposable. So they're like, oh, I'll get him hooked on this. And then he'll have to keep me around. And so they offer drugs and alcohol, and the artist is like, oh, wow, free stuff. And I'm partying. And what they don't realize is they're hurting the artist when they do that.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's unintentional. And there's a lot of peer pressure in our work, as you know, Doc. There's a lot of peer pressure. You're trying to catch up with somebody else that's getting success, and they're there with a bottle of champagne or whatever. And you go, oh, I've got to do that. And you don't really. It's all about finding your own path and journey to get to the best place that you want to be at without hurting yourself and hurting other people. And so we've lost so many people in music for lots of different reasons. One of them is you need somebody in your life to go, stop doing that. I'm telling you now, stop.
Yeah.
You know,
who said stop?
I don't think
you? Who told you to
stop? I didn't really have any kind of intervention in my life at all, as I recall. I talk about it in the book. You know, it got to a really desperate place where I as a plea for help, I tried to take my own life. And I think that is the most expressive way of being at a place that is so lonely and desolate, and I'm in this great band and I'm successful, blah blah blah, and yet I'm the most unhappiest person that I know. So I had to make the choice myself. In recovery, we tell each other that really all of our beautiful family, friends, relatives, whatever, fans can keep telling you this, do this, but until you say, okay, I'm going to make this choice now, today, I'm going to quit this, I'm going to quit that. So you are responsible. It's your responsibility. This is your life, you know. Everything that happens in life to a great extent is your responsibility. And don't attack me by saying, well, oh, this happens or that happens, out of your control. Because life is out of your control. You don't know what, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, anything can happen in the day. But what I mean by that, as far as accepting your responsibilities as a person, it's important. You've got to really find that place. You know, it's not about handouts and this, that, and the other. It's just being able to discover that all of us have this incredible resource of strength and inner power that's just waiting to be untapped. And when you get to a sober place, it's just endless. It's just an unbelievable stream of whatever you need. You can take it from what's already inside of you.
Yeah, you can't control the world, but you can control your reaction to the world.
Exactly. That's the thing. You are in control of your emotions. If somebody makes you mad, it's not their fault. You're taking what they're projecting to you and you're making the madness issue out of it, you know. So that's another thing I learned in my sobriety. Sobriety is just accepting responsibilities for reactions. Every action has a reaction. So when somebody yells at you or somebody's angry about something, before you lash back, process the information. That's the thing about Twitter. People are twittering. They're not thinking, you know?
Yeah.
You've really got to think about the choice that you make in the reaction that you give back. And some of us, including myself, have made bad choices and bad reactions, but that's life. Life is about learning. It's learning.
Are you tweeting?
Oh, no, I can't tweet. I wouldn't tweet because I am opinionated. I'm like the next person. And I try to practice what I preach. I love my Instagram. I love my Facebook. I've got all my beautiful fans around the world that love to stay in touch through that process.
Twitter's an angry place. Anyways, Twitter's angry, right?
I think it can be. I think it's a great tool for instant kind of. It's a little bit of an addiction itself. You can get just as addicted to social media as you can to anything, you know.
However, social media can act as some kind of work. You know, a lot of people
can be beautiful.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
I use social media for work.
Yeah, it's important. I use it as well. And so it's just knowing the amount of influence that you have as a public person. You have influence, you know, and some people kind of wait to hear what you have to say about something, and so you really have to make sure that the information that you're sending out is good and strong and positive, you know.
Yeah, you don't want to be.
Can't stand negativity. Negativity. It has no place in life. It just brings pain and suffering and heartache. Negativity is just like a black hole in space. You know, it'll just suck everything in. I don't.
Just watch the news if you want negativity. Just watch the news. You know. Speaking of negative things, I have a really cool question from a fan. I just recently joined a Facebook Judas Priest group so that I could get some questions for you, right? And there's 15,000 people in this group. And I was like, hey, I'm going to call Rob. Do you guys have any unique questions? Because I want to hear what they have to say. Lots of cat questions, but I had to narrow it down. One of them I like is from Eric Sabadi from McKinney, Texas. I don't believe there are any curse words in Rob's or Judas Priest lyrics. Curious if that was by design. And if so, I would like to know the background on that decision. And he says, kudos, by the way.
Thank you. That's a pretty cool question. I love to swear, but I use it in a fun way. I use it in an expressive way, getting your emotions out. But I don't really think that it has much of a place in our world in priest. I mean, I see and hear it a lot in certain types of music, and hey, that's your thing. It's your choice. The great thing about music and all art should not be censored by one shape, form, or whatever. Everything, once you start censoring art, it multiplies and it becomes a very dangerous thing to do. Again, it's all about choice. If you don't like something, don't listen to it. If it's something on the TV that's making you angry, change the channel. You know, something that makes you angry on the social media, go somewhere else. You know. But for me to use explicit language in a priest song, I don't think I've found the moment yet. I have a lot of friends that in metal that utilize the power of those words. If that's the word that really emphasizes the part of your message, then by all means you should use it. But no, I don't know, maybe on the next Priest album, I might effing blind, as we say in England. He's effing and blinding.
I know that the Brits love to swear in a different way than we do because I lived in Germany half my life, and I would be in an Irish pub, and Irish or English guys would say, "Hold my beer, you cunt! I'm going to have a slash." They just call each other cunt all the time, and
That's right. Yeah, yeah. That's a beautiful part of especially my home country. Uh, the way that people say that, it's almost like a term of endearment
it
to
is.
call
It is. In
somebody
America,
that.
everybody gets so freaked out over the C word, but British
Yeah,
people just say, "Oh, come here, you cunt! Give me a hug." You
yeah,
know.
I know. And it's just a word, and it's used in a really, again, it can be used in a great context. It's that to say something like that to a person is like affection, as crazy as it sounds. Yeah,
It is. It is. It's a term of endearment, you know. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
have a question from Phil Collin of Def Leppard, who's also a friend
Okay,
of mine. I met him before you. He was my
all
first
right.
Rockstar client in '83.
Yeah,
I'm aging myself here. Anyways, he says, okay, this is a really random question, but in the early 90s, Def Leppard were playing in Phoenix and Rob lived there. He volunteered to drive me around Phoenix and then drive to the airport and pick up my then girlfriend who was flying in from France. But I noticed what an insightful and knowledgeable host he was and wondered if he'd ever secretly craved being a documentary host, having had a similar travel experience that I've had based on being in a traveling rock band. The reason I ask is I've definitely fantasized about doing a kind of Sir David Attenborough meets Bear Grylls type thing. It just never came up. John Lydon did something like that.
wow, what a great story. That's beautiful. Love you, Phil. We have such a great friendship, of love and mutual respect for each other in Def Leppard. Um, I think Leopard went out with Priest when some of the guys were still in their teens, in their mid-teens, late teens. I think it was a European tour we did together. So it's that's a great question. And I don't know. I don't know. The thing about life is it's never too late to do anything. I'm about to turn 70, but that doesn't mean I should start putting the blocks on things. You fulfill your dreams and your ambitions wherever you may be. And so who knows? Maybe Phil and I will do it together. Who knows? Or maybe Phil can do it.
That'd be
Phil can
fun.
do his documentary. Yeah,
In between his workouts, have you seen him without his shirt off? I mean,
he looks phenomenal. He's a great inspirational person for staying fit and healthy.
and sober
Um,
like you.
yes, exactly. So, yeah, I think again, just because of who we are and the place that we have to talk out about these types of things, he's like a really 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 great inspiring person for that.
It's great that there's so many metal people like you and Phil that are sober and you get massage and you take care of your health and everything. I mean, that just proves I always say your health is your wealth. And it's true, isn't it?
It's very very true. And I tell you, I've seen it because I mean I've been doing this for 50 years, and now when tour buses pull up, the guys will jump off the bus and open the bay doors, and they'll pull out weights, and they'll pull out ropes and whatever it is. They'll work out when you're stuck on a bus for 6 hours. You get out and you want to run out on the stage, but you get your cardio going. You get supple, you get limber, you get ready for work, and so that's what they do. In the old days, we'd be on the bus doing all this, and then get a fall out onto the stage and be doing all this.
Yeah.
So it's great to see that, particularly in younger bands. Younger
Yeah.
bands are very knowledgeable, and they know that you really have to get an understanding that being healthy on the road pays its dividends. It
Will
really
keep
does.
you on the road. If you're not healthy, you're not going to be on the road. You're gonna end up dead in the back seat of a car or something. You have to take care of your health. Speaking of
You have to, yeah.
younger bands, a fan named Matt Miller from Ottawa, Ontario says, who is the best new band you've heard in the past 10 years? And do you think Priest might take out any younger openers as part of your 50th anniversary tour?
That's a cool question. It seems impossible to catch up now. I mean, I check the 3 or 4 social media sites that I go to every day, part of my ritual. And the amount of bands, it's just great. It's an endless supply of talent all around the world. Everybody's really going for it, and wants to be successful. And we wish all of them well. There's a local band, kind of in my hometown of Walsall, called Wolf, and then Wolfjaw. They're a three-piece. They've got a great vibe about them, and I think that they've put an enormous amount of time and effort already into making the band a good band, and maybe they'll be ready to kind of go to that next level soon. But
for you, that would be a good.
There's any endless opportunities. There's endless opportunities to be there for each other. So the door is always open.
Have you ever heard of a band from Belfast called The Answer? Because I thought they were pretty good as far as new bands.
No, but I'm going to check them out now. Are they metal?
Yeah, they opened for AC/DC on one whole tour, and I was massaging both bands, and I was like, wow. I mean, they kind of strike me as, I don't want to compare them too much to Led Zeppelin, but they're like a groovy, harder Zeppelin. It's hard to explain. The singer's like Robert Plant in his youth, somehow.
Yeah. That's what I love about Greta Van Fleet. When Greta Van Fleet burst out on the scene, they unashamedly said that they love Zeppelin. And I thought what was great about that, here's the thing about a lot of these newer bands, they're referencing bands from the past, like we all do. Yeah. I mean, when we started as Priest, we didn't have a reference. We didn't have a metal reference because we were there at the beginning. Right. But a lot of bands will say, oh, yeah, it was Priest, or it was Sabbath, or it was Maiden, or it was Motorhead, or it was Scorpions, or it was this band, that band from 30, 40 years ago that we listened to as young musicians. And I think that's a great compliment.
Yeah, it is.
It's a great compliment. Yeah. Some of the greatest music, in my opinion, came through the back end of the 60s. The 70s was a great turbulent type of decade. But by the time we got into the 80s and the 90s, some of the greatest things were happening in music, and they still live with us today. I
mean, I see so many people slagging them off. They hate Greta Flint, they're wait, why are they bad? Because they all play instruments, they all sing, they write their own stuff. Give them a freaking break. At least they're playing instruments and they're not just rapping to some beat or something. Like, you got to give them a chance. You know what I mean?
Here's the thing about that, Dot. Once people start attacking you, you're doing something good. it's always the bands that are really gaining traction and becoming successful. It's just a bizarre thing. Instead of like lifting people up, there's a portion of people that just start trying to bang them down, and that really can affect you in a band. It can really affect you mentally and psychologically. You've got to push it away, because it has no merit. Yeah, it has no merit. It has no value. No. If anybody's attacking you, hey, that's their choice. That doesn't mean you're not doing good things. You're not making great things happen. Everything has its context, and so it's been my witnessing over the decades I've been in music that some of the greatest bands will tell stories of like, people said we sucked and we were never going to make it. One of the first ever reviews of Judas Priest was, "Don't give up your day jobs, lads." So there you go. Yeah, exactly.
When I lived in Germany, I brought out a book in '99, and I was upset at some of the reviews. They were all from women, mostly talking about my tits rather than the book. And I was crying, and my German friends, some of them came to me and they said, listen to me, there's an expression in German, jede kriegt Mitleid, Neid muss man verdienen, which means everybody can get sympathy or, praise, but envy must be earned.
Yes, exactly.
Envy must be earned. So when you got the haters coming at you and they're envious of you, you earned that.
That's it. That's a great way of looking at that kind of situation.
Online.
Yeah. It's push it back, turn it back into love, because that's the best thing you can do.
Yeah, you got to take it and use it as fuel. I got a friend, Ernest Herrera from Houston, Texas. When you retire, would you consider being an actor since you do have a little theater experience from your teenage years? You would make one hell of a villain, a alien in a James Bond movie.
This is so cool. This question is so cool because Thomas and I have just finished watching this amazing new production that Robert Downey Jr. and his wife put together on the graphic novel Sweet Tooth. You have to watch Sweet Tooth on Netflix. Oh. It is absolutely beautiful. It's a beautiful story about love and reconnecting. But there's a villain in Sweet Tooth called Abbott, General Abbott. And he's got this full-on beard, and he's got the ears and everything. And Thomas goes, "That could have been you."
It could.
But I love that. I love that show. Everybody check it out. It's just sensational. Sweet Tooth. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've all dipped our toes in the water. I did a thing ages ago with Mickey Rourke for the movie Spun that Jonas Ackerlund did. I've just done a thing just a few days ago for a Netflix project that comes out later this year. Just a little something, but it's a little bit like when you're making a music video. If you look at some of those early music videos that Priest made, and we worked with directors like Julian Temple, he would put a kind of an outside story context within the music. So you do a little bit of acting per se. It wasn't really acting as such, but the physical gestures of getting out of the gold Cadillac in Soho and getting out the car and going into a bank, that kind of stuff you see on Breaking the Law, and Living After Midnight, where I pull up outside of Sheffield City Hall on the bike and I'm high-fiving the fans and going into the venue. It's all that kind of expression. I have nothing but praise for actors, because to see them work, and I've been able to see them work, to go from a conversation like you and I are having, then to go into a really dark place for a scene, or to be angry, or to be crying, the way they're able to switch this on and off, it's just an extraordinary talent, and I have a few friends in the business that are able to do that, and I'm just amazed by what they can do. I'm nowhere near that kind of league, but it interests me. I love it because all music is fantasy. All music is escapism, even if it's got a strong real life message. We go to shows to escape. We go to shows to escape what's happening in our lives. We're together as metal maniacs for that show, for that night. It's just the most incredible thing that we can unite with, and so that's escapism. That's why we go to the movies. That's why we go to see a play. That's why we go to see a show. It's escaping the
like theater.
Yeah, it is. That's what we do. This new Priest tour is all of that. We've worked hard to maintain that type of balance with Priest. When you always say, "I'm going to go and see a band." You don't say, "I'm going to go and hear a band." You're going to see something that gives you a memory. And we've always worked hard in Priest to leave you with a really strong heavy metal memory. And the last thing you ever see at a Priest show is the Priest will be back, on the big screen. And that's what we'll be doing soon. Yeah.
It's an experience. Okay, I have a two-part question. So before you answer it, you got to hear the both parts. Bill Shaw from Conshohocken, Pennsylvania. I doubt I said it correctly. Conshohocken. Diamonds and Rust as a metal ballad was absolutely brilliant, and one of the songs that made Priest my favorite metal band. What inspired the band to want to cover a Joan Baez folk tune, and when had you realized just how brilliant it would turn out to be? Hang on. Then one of my best friends, Jim Norton, who's a comedian, I called him today. I go, "You're a metal fan. You must have a question for Rob." He goes, "Okay, I want to know, did you ever get any feedback from Joan Baez on Diamonds and Rust? What was her opinion? And did you hear any feedback from them?" So it was so weird that he had a similar question. So boom.
So I'm going to now blow your mind and tell you something even weirder. because the day you and I met at Live Aid in Philadelphia was the day that Joan Baez is walking to the trailer that I'm doing interviews, finishing interviews with. And Joan Baez is walking towards me, waving, and I'm going, oh my God, she's going to come and kick my ass about the way we treated Diamonds and Rust. And she goes, Rob, I got Joan, give me a hug. We're hugging each other. I'm so excited and thrilled. God, you're a legend, Joan, the things that you've done. And she goes, blah, blah, thank you so much. I just wanted to let you know that when my son knew that I was going to be playing on Live Aid and you were going to be performing as well, he said, please tell Rob and the guys from Priest that I love their version of Diamonds and Rust better than my mum's version. Which I thought, how sweet is that? How cool is that? This legend, this iconic figure makes such a beautiful things said, and I can't believe that you just said that. She goes, oh
Maybe
yeah,
that's why you were smiling so much when I met you. You were like,
yeah. I was a thrill to meet Joan Baez, firstly, but to have her say that. So the quick story on that was the band was slowly making marks in United States, and our label had said, guys, if we can get a song that we can send to rock and roll radio, that'll really give you a boost. And we didn't really have anything, so that's when somebody at the label suggested this song. And the first time we heard the track, we were in a very famous studio called Rockfield Studios in Monmouthshire, back in the UK. And we knew this song was coming. It was a 45, come in the post. So we all sit round a record player and put it on, and then Joan starts singing. And then we go, are they having a laugh in England? Are you having a laugh? Yeah. What is this? And then we listened again, and then we got it. Oh yeah, now we got it. This is an incredible song. This song will take the Priest interpretation. So that's what we did, and we also did that with Green Man Leashy, the Fleetwood Mac song. And we also did that with Better By You, Better Than Me, Spooky Tooth. So you look for opportunities like that. Bands still do it now. Some bands that are doing well will suddenly decide to do a cover, whether it's David from Disturbed with Sound of Silence. Have I said it right?
Cool.
Or Ivan and the guys from Death Punch will do a Bad Company song. There's millions of songs out there just screaming for a new interpretation. Elton John just did it with It's a Sin. So yeah, that's the story of Diamonds and Rust. You know that song It's a Sin by the Pet Shop Boys?
Oh wow.
Pet Shop Boys, It's a Sin, yeah. Google it. It's on Elton's various social media tracks. But what I'm saying is that yes, there's all these great opportunities to help you just open the door a little bit wider, just to bring people in.
Yeah.
And that's the exercise. It's an homage to the original song, but it's also, what else have you got? And then people will go to the music that you're making.
Plus, sometimes a cover can turn out to be better than the original, like Tina Turner's Proud Mary.
Absolutely. Endless things like that. Yeah.
A Little Help from My Friends. I mean, have you ever covered a Beatles song or a Frank Zappa song?
I love Zappa. For the longest time, I was a Zappa head.
He's like the Beatles and the Zappa are my favorite. I love Zappa. That's how I got the name Dr. Dot. That's how I am Dr. Dot. Through
Zappa.
Frank Zappa. I went on his 88 tour massaging him, and I was just called Dot. And by the end of the tour, he would go, where's the doctor? Come here, Dr. Dot. Do my hands. I'm busy. So I stole it. I mean, I took it from him. I was like, okay, I'm taking this. I'm going to run with it.
I never knew that. And where's the Dr. Dot book? Because you must have a million stories. I know you are a respectful person, because in our world there's a kind of an unwritten law about what you see and what you hear and how you take that into what's it. But I know you must have a million stories like I have that a lot of people would love to check it out.
In Germany in '99 in German. I'm not German, by the way, but I talked the book and a German guy wrote it. And I write as if the star is reading over my shoulder. I would never bite the hands that feed me. I make it funny, but the German had shocking no humor. So, I mean, it did sell out.
Yeah.
He didn't even know who Frank Zappa was. I was like, really? You're going to write my book and you don't know who Zappa is? That's ridiculous. So I talk my book on the podcast, Rob. I don't have time to type because I have an 8-year-old son who drives me crazy every day. He's in the backyard screaming. I can hear him. Anyways, I talk the book on my podcast just in case I croak. There it is out on the internet. So
I'm going to check it out. I'm going to check that out. That's going to be on my list of things to do.
Right now I'm definitely up to 84, and then I'm going to do it chronologically. You know, I do book because I'm going to forget otherwise. I do it when I'm cleaning the house at night. So I got a funny question for you. Dennis L. Paquette from Richford, Vermont. What's Rob's go-to comfort food?
I'm obsessed with lemon slices at the moment. I don't know where this comes from. I think it's from my dad because we just had Father's Day, rest his soul, and I'm just obsessed with the taste of like lemon slice cake. And Thomas went to the store to fill the fridge and the shelves because he demolishes the food. The food's in 1 week and it's in his stomach by the end of the week, and then we have it's to go down here. Don't forget the lemon slices.
So you don't mean like actual lemon sucking on them. You mean lemon cake or what?
It's a cake, yeah. It's kind of a cake with like like you get like a custard type of texture. It's like a lemon custard texture and like a shortbread base.
Oh, yummy.
And it is absolutely delicious. So, I mean, that's right now. I mean, who knows? I've always talking about that Netflix sweet tooth. When you quit drinking, a lot of us realize that because there's so much sugar in alcohol, that's where the booze comes from. You suddenly become like a chocoholic, So I really have to watch myself. I love my sweet tooth cakes and stuff.
Skin looks good. Sugar is evil. Sugar is really evil.
It is evil. But it's small measures for everything.
Bad for your liver, actually, because I was in a rabbit hole. I went to Google how to do a Zoom call and all this other shit, and I ended up, what does alcohol do to your liver? You know how it distracts you on the side and you get pulled in, and I was like, I didn't know sugar's bad for the liver. So yeah, it is bad. I think that's all of the fan. I mean, there was 350 fan questions, Rob. I had
That's great.
But I always ask everyone during every podcast, please pick 2 songs, one for the beginning of the podcast and one for the end. So what would you choose for your 2 favorite songs?
Oh, wow. I'm gonna kind of go into 2 directions. Let's do something heavy. Like I don't know, Black Sabbath. Let's just do Iron Man, because I love that song. And it's connecting me to Robert Downey Jr. again and Iron Man, that great set of Marvel films. So Iron Man, and I tell you what, let's just go out with Diamonds and Rust by Priest, as we've talked about that. So those are a couple of tunes. I could give you a list as long as the day, but those will work for now. Yeah, those will do the job.
I also asked, like, let's say you came to New York and you and Tom had a night off, and I dragged you to a karaoke bar. What would you sing? I love karaoke.
That's a great question.
After midnight.
We should do some karaoke together. You and I should do some karaoke.
Yeah.
I mean, I love all kinds of stuff, Here's something completely insane, like anything from The Wizard of Oz, which I believe that's one of the greatest movies ever made in terms of just the story. It is the most beautiful story about love that you can ever imagine. But the songs, Rainbow and Off to Meet the Wizard and all these different beautiful songs. I love a lot of. It's a gay thing. I love the show tunes. I love those types of big dramatic expressions. Belting it out.
Well in Manhattan show tunes.
Yeah. So Yeah, maybe we'll just have a show tunes karaoke night sometime.
I don't know any show tunes. I mean, I could do Rocky Horror Picture Show because I've seen it 300 times. I used to play Janet.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Janet in the theater. I mean, in the movie theater when I was younger.
Yes.
Like, I love that. Oh my God.
Brilliant.
Tim
Brilliant.
Curry's amazing. But I love karaoke. It would be so fun to see if anyone recognized you and you're belting out a show tune. I would make a video that would go viral. Oh my God. But I guess Jane is going to say, your 45 minutes is up now, love.
Yeah, I've got another Zoom at 3-ish. So,
wow, so you better
I tell you,
water.
I tell you, this has just been so much fun. It's been great to see your lovely face again. I can't wait to see you and give you a real hug. I've been giving virtual hugs for a year, give you a real hug because we're all fully vaccinated like you are. And so, yeah, this has been really cool. I love these questions from the fans. I rarely get this opportunity in this type of format. So we'll have to do this again. We'll have to do chapter 2, volume 2.
I'm going to catch you on tour, and when you have a night off, and we'll do
right. Yes. Yes. Okay. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Love you, Dr. Dot. Thank you so much as well. It's been a blast. Look after yourself and your beautiful kid, and we'll see you soon.
Okay.
All right. See you later.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye.